Hey everybody, welcome to the Sports in the Mitten podcast, powered by Mr. Spots in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Adam Biggers, Michigan State beat writer for FanRag Sports, fanragsports.com. And today's episode is going to center around the uh, three dismissals at Michigan State. It's Donnie Corley. I think people who've covered this and are in the media, it's been long known, just for reasons, beyond my control and kind of beyond, I'll even say beyond kind of just my jurisdiction, I guess. It wasn't my place, but it's Donnie Corley, Demetric, Vance, Josh King. That's been known for months. A 4 month long investigation. Charges filed this morning at District 54B Court in East Lansing. And Donnie Corley, Josh King, Demetric Vance, all dismissed from the program. And that was Spartans coach Mark Dantonio's call. Received a press release. I was unable to make it to the press conference today. Had some other things to do. But I do want to cover all the bases. Like I said, I have a press release. Lots of great reporting has been done on this story. Again, anyone who accused the Michigan State media for not asking enough questions, not being aggressive enough, so on and so forth, completely off base. These guys have been at it and just been bulldogs on the reporting. So I think guys like Chris Solari of the Lansing State Journal deserves a lot of credit. I think Kyle Austin of MLive.com deserves a ton of credit as well. Matt Charbonneau, the Detroit News, he did a great job. Graham Couch, all those guys in Lansing wanted answers, and I think everybody, did their parts during this whole reporting phase, uncovering phase. And so again, before you start blasting the MSU media and saying, well, they weren't trying to do this, that, and the other, I think that it's important to recognize that these guys actually did a very solid job, great reporting, responsible reporting. So, with that said, I don't know where to start. It's like I said, it was a 4 month long investigation stemming from a January 16th incident. Criminal sexual conduct, you start getting into that, it definitely starts getting serious, and this is a serious matter. I don't want to come across any other way that it is very serious. I've read comments, I've heard some of the stuff, and it's almost kind of shameful in a way when the victim of a crime then becomes kind of victimized by overzealous fans. And well, maybe she was raped. She was in a bathroom at a party in East Lansing. She was taken to a quiet place. I'm going to read the report. She was raped. There is no other way to say it. She was forced to do things against her will. They videotaped it, and it's three of them. Three very large, very strong, very aggressive football players, and I think that's the only way to put it. So before you start, shaming the victim, or well, maybe she should have done this, maybe you should put yourself in her position. You're in a bathroom, it's a party atmosphere, and there's three guys around you. And I don't want to get into the graphic details, but what they did to her was anything but. I guess when I think of sex, and I don't want to get in this talk, but when I think two people that are like each other, love each other, this was anything but. This was assault. This was domination. This was assertion of power. This was disrespect. This was everything across the board. I want to start out. I'm going to read this report from Matt Wenzel of MLive.com, and I see him at Michigan State. He does a great job, and he has the statement. We all got an email, but he wrote a story today, and I'm going to read the story real quick, and then it'll include Mark Dantonio's statement. So here we go. Again, this is from Matt Wenzel of MLive.com. Just minutes after sexual assault charges were announced against a trio of Michigan State football players, all three were dismissed from the program. Josh King, Donnie Corley, and Demetric Vance were all charged with criminal sexual conduct Tuesday morning in 54B District Court in East Lansing, stemming from an alleged incident on January 16th. Those charges were followed quickly with a written statement from Michigan State coach Mark Dantonio, who kicked all three players off the team immediately, regardless of the outcome of the criminal process. The three players have been suspended since the investigation was announced in February. And this is a direct quote from Mark Dantonio, what was in the press release. When we choose student athletes to come to MSU, we enter into a relationship with them and their families, and we welcome them into ours. We emphasize that success on the field is not enough, as I made clear when all 3 individuals were suspended 4 months ago upon us learning of the allegations. They also must embrace our core principles, which include integrity, respect, and accountability. The individuals in this case put themselves in a compromising position and did not live up to the standards we have outlined for our program. I'm going to end it right there because the individuals in this case put themselves in a compromising position and did not live up to the standards we have outlined for our program. Those poor boys. Those poor boys. No, those individuals put a young woman into a beyond compromising position, physically and sexually assaulted her, and of course those don't live up to the standards. But I feel like a blanket statement like this almost just doesn't even cover the disgusting nature of this. It really is, and I'll read another. This is bad. Okay. Continuing with the Mark Dantonio quote. Sexual assault has no place in our community, and I want to share my deep concern for the young woman affected and her family. This is an extremely challenging situation that we have taken very seriously and has affected everyone in this program. The high standards I have established for this program will not change, and the values that we teach to everyone in this program will be enforced. I expect all of our players and staff to conduct themselves in a manner that reflect the ideals of this university, end quote. And again, this report from Matt Wenzel of MLive.com. You can follow him on Twitter, and you can you could Google it. It's out there. So that's where I'm at with the Mark Dantonio. It doesn't satisfy. It doesn't. It is a generic statement, and it's just. And at this point, I don't know if Mark Dantonio is. Even wants to get into the details. I'm sure he's disgusted too. And I mean, and again, it's easy to throw mud on Mark Dantonio, and I'm not defending Michigan State or Mark Dantonio in any shape or form, but you do have to take into account his position at the university and what he can and cannot do. He can't just come out and publicly say, look, these guys did this to this girl, this is what happened, and this is what I feel about it. He's got to follow the protocol. And I feel like that there are a lot of people who question that protocol, and did Mark Dantonio do enough? He was informed of it. He informed people up the ladder, and it was dealt with. Michigan State spent 1,500 hours plus investigating this case. So I think when you look at how it was handled procedure-wise, they followed the book, and that's all that they can do. And whether we agree with it or whether like it, whatever your stance is, the university has a protocol. And it's strictly enforced, and they follow that. So that statement from Mark Dantonio certainly doesn't. I mean, it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't sit well. This report now from Kyle Austin, and if you're younger, if you don't want to hear any of this stuff, if you're offended by a detail. I mean, I don't know the right word to use. If this is going to upset you, you're probably going to want to stop watching now, because Kyle Austin in his report does provide some details. I think they're important because it shows just the nature of this attack. It's almost, I don't even want to call it sexual, because to me there was nothing sexual about it. It was about dominance. It was about showing, hey, we're controlling you. And that, to me, that was what that was about. So this is from Kyle Austin. I'm not going to read the whole report, but I'm going to read some of these important details. Okay. Well, actually, I'll start with the whole report because it starts, I think, where we need to start. Michigan State football players Donnie Corley, Josh King, and Demetric Vance allegedly sexually assaulted a female student in a bathroom during an apartment party on campus in January, according to school police. Michigan State University Detective Chad Davis detailed the alleged assault at a district court hearing where a judge authorized third-degree criminal sexual charges against the trio on Tuesday morning. And I'm going to get into the third degree, the first degree, that sort of thing, because it does, they vary with the charges, and there's specific things that set apart what is second degree, what is third degree, and we'll get into that just a little bit. So Back to the Kyle's report. The alleged victim began speaking with King at a party at University Village Apartments on January 16th, Davis testified. King allegedly asked her during that conversation if she wanted to go somewhere to speak quietly. The victim told police she recalled being in 2 rooms and that she was eventually pulled into a bathroom, according to Davis's testimony. King then tried to convince the alleged victim to have sex with him, and she said she didn't want to, according to Davis. She was then allegedly forced to perform oral sex on King, according to Davis's testimony. And again, Chad Davis is a detective at Michigan State University, and he's testifying in court about what he knows pertaining to this case. After the alleged victim again told King she didn't want to have sex, she claimed he pulled her pants down and penetrated her against her will, according to the testimony. King then allowed 2 friends into the bathroom, later identified as Corley and Vance, and the alleged victim was forced to perform oral sex on both of them, Davis testified. The alleged victim told police she asked both Corley and Vance to stop. The alleged victim reported the incident to Michigan State University police the following day. King was interviewed by police on January 26, Davis said. King originally denied having sexual contact with anyone at the party, before later admitting to having contact with the alleged victim in the bathroom, Davis told the judge. A subsequent search of King's cell phone revealed an alleged group text message between King, Corley, Vance, and a 4th member of the Michigan State football team that contained, quote, dialogue between the 4 indicating involvement in the assault by King, Corley, and Vance, end quote, according to Davis's testimony. The search also produced a video on King's cell phone of King having sex with the alleged victim in the bathroom, according to Davis. The victim told police she did not consent to being recorded and was unaware the recording was taking place. This is disgusting. Corley and Vance were both interviewed in early February. Both originally denied having sexual contact at the party, before later admitting to receiving oral sex from the alleged victim, according to Davis's testimony. Both said they didn't know the victim, but positively identified her from a photo. The 3 players were all dismissed from the football team by Mark Dantonio shortly after the hearing. They have yet to be arraigned on the charges in 54B District Court in East Lansing. According to a statement from MSU Police, detectives conducted more than 100 interviews and worked more than 1,500 hours on the case. It's disturbing, and again, and those aren't even, the detailed details of what went on, and that's only up. That can be left to speculation. What happened to this girl? She goes off with a guy, Josh King. Josh King tries to convince her to sleep with him. She says no. He then forces her to give him oral sex, and then he invites his 2 friends in. And if you're Demetric, Vance, and Donnie Corley, what the hell are you thinking? That's my stance on that. Nowhere in these reports say anything about alcohol involved. It's at University Village in East Lansing. I've been to parties there. It's a college party. So let that sink in a little bit. And I mean, yes, bad decisions. Alcohol can contribute to bad decisions, but these weren't bad decisions. Bad decisions are maybe, you could come up with a lot of other bad decisions. I don't even want to compare because I feel like it would lessen the severity of it's really disturbing. And we've heard of this stuff, and I want to be quite clear too. The Baylor comparison does not hold water. There's no Michigan State Baylor comparison. There is none. This Baylor was long-standing problems, institutional. This stuff was going on. Look the other way. Right now, we can't say that about Michigan State. What really bothers me is just knowing everything bothers me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. This is a topic that's sensitive. I think if there's anybody out there, if you have nieces, nephews, nieces or daughters or nephews too. I mean, this is a behavior that certainly seems to be prevalent, and it seems to be in the athletic culture as well. I have a niece and nephew who are into sports, and you think about this stuff, and you hope that, one day that this isn't your daughter, or this isn't your niece. Mark Dantonio has daughters. Mark Hollis, the athletic director, has daughters. He said he wanted Michigan State to be safe. And I'm not saying that it's just, okay, no woman is safe at Michigan State and all these football players are out there just sexually assaulting them. But this does bring to light an important topic. This does, not only does it look bad on Michigan State and Mark Dantonio, but I mean, just in general, it's one of those stories that you don't want to hear about, but you know that it happens. And when we think of the involvement of Curtis Blackwell, and Curtis, recruiting coordinator, mentor, college advancement guy, he's there to help these students. And did he report it quick enough to the right people? And the more that I read about it, the more I hear about it, yes, Curtis Blackwell screwed up. Yes, Curtis Blackwell may have put himself in a position where he might not be able to get another Division I job. I don't know. But it's really starting to look like Curtis Blackwell was more of a fall guy than anything else. And again, that's my speculation. I've talked to some people. I'm not 100% sure of what Curtis Blackwell's involvement was, but I think it's more along the lines of what he didn't do rather than what he did do, if that makes sense. So now that I feel like we've covered the social topics. We know that this is disgusting human behavior. Absolutely. I'm going to read real quick what the charges carry, because I believe one of them is being charged with first-degree sexual assault, and the other two are being charged yes, Josh King is being charged with one count of first-degree criminal sexual assault, and then Corley and Vance are both getting charged with third degree. So we'll talk about the football implications last, depth chart wise, what these guys could do, what they mean. None of that's really that important right now. In the state of Michigan, this is what first degree criminal sexual conduct, rather. It is a felony, and this is according to legislature, I can't say that word, legislature.mi.gov. I'm sorry, I can't say that word right now. Article 750-520B, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree felony. A person is guilty of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree if he or she engages in sexual penetration with another person, and if any of the following circumstances exist. A, the person is under 13 years of age. B, the other person is at least 13 but less than 16 years of age. The actor is a member of the same household as the victim. The actor is related to the victim by blood or affinity to the fourth degree. The actor is in a position of authority over the victim and used this authority to coerce the victim to submit. The actor is a teacher, substitute teacher, or administrator of the public or non-public school in which that other person is enrolled. Sexual penetration occurs under circumstances involving the commission of any felony. The actor is aided or abetted by one or more other persons, and either of the following circumstances exist. And I think this is, where we're getting to the meat of it. This is what is really against Josh King, for lack of a better word. The actor is aided or abetted by one or more other persons, and either of the following circumstances exist. Because remember, he invited these other two guys in. The actor knows or has reason to know that the victim is mentally incapable, mentally incapacitated, or physically helpless. Well, I don't think she was mentally incapable or anything, but physically helpless? Absolutely. Any of us would be. Josh King is a big guy. Donnie Corley is a big guy. Demetric Vance is a big guy. All in great shape. All, class athletes. And there were three of them. Of course she was in physical danger. Of course she was physically helpless. The actor uses force or coercion to accomplish the sexual penetration. Force or coercion includes but is not limited to any of the circumstances listed in subdivision. And that will be further down, but I think we all know what that means. The actor is armed with a weapon or any article used or fashioned in a manner to lead the victim to reasonably believe it to be a weapon. That's not the case. what is the case, aided and abetted by one or more person, and if he didn't know that she was scared, and this is my speculation here, but I mean, you have to know that she said no several times. She told all three of them no several times. I believe they knew that she was physically helpless. There was nothing she could do about it. Nothing. Third degree, that's where Corley and Vance come in. And in the state of Michigan, that is a misdemeanor. And real quick note, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree in the state of Michigan, according to legislature.mi.gov, can carry a sentence of up to life or a term of years in prison. Third degree. I'm sorry, did I say that was a misdemeanor? I think third degree is a felony. I'm sorry. Criminal sexual conduct in the third degree, felony in the state of Michigan. A person is guilty of criminal sexual conduct in the third degree if the person engages in sexual penetration with another person and if any of the following circumstances exist. That other person is at least 13 years of age and under 16 years of age. Force or coercion is used to accomplish the sexual penetration. Force or coercion includes but is not limited to any of the circumstances listed in section what we just read above. The actor knows or has reason to know that the victim is mentally incapable, mentally incapacitated, or physically helpless. That other person is related to the actor, that's not, none of that pertains. But this does. The actor knows or has reason to know that the victim is mentally incapable, mentally incapacitated, or physically helpless. She is surrounded by, she's in a bathroom alone with Josh King. Two other guys enter. She is physically helpless. She was already physically helpless. Was she incapacitated? I don't know. Physically helpless, yes. Coerced, yes. I wasn't there, but I hear this stuff and it's almost like you hope that they don't just get off because they're football players. You hope it's, that they don't get light sentences. I don't know their criminal backgrounds. If it is a first-time offense, a lot of people would argue, well, it's a first-time, second chance. Right. First-time offense, drunk driving, first-time offense, stealing, or first-time offense, some other crime. Okay, first-time offense, rape, I think is a little bit different. That's just me. I think there's no excuse. There shouldn't be. Well, wait, it was his first rape. Okay, let's be. No, I don't like that, and I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but I don't know if has any of this kind of stuff happened before. I mean, I don't know if all of a sudden the light clicks on you at a party and say, hey, I want to rape a girl. I mean, is this a sign of behavior? And I don't want to connect any to the two, but Mark Dantonio refused to answer questions about Austin Robertson, who was just dismissed. And he already had a past. He was told to complete classes before he can enroll. He already had a past. I don't know. How much does Mark Dantonio know about this? And this is what bothers me is because Mark Dantonio, okay, you guys told me, okay, I told these people, I did my part. That's the way it comes across to me. Depth chart. We're going on 24 minutes here. I don't want to keep you guys forever. Depth chart. I mean, really, who cares? Even with Donnie Corley, Demetric, Vance, and Josh King, I didn't really anticipate a great year for Michigan State football. I figured you could probably count the wins on one hand, maybe 6 wins if they were lucky, but realistically, 4 or 5 wins, I think. I only saw 2 sure wins on the schedule, and I did that just after Memorial Day. And yes, a lot can change, but to me, there's just not a lot there to signify. There weren't a lot of things there to make me think. I'm stumbling over my words now. To make me think that they'd have a successful season. With me knowing when I wrote all this stuff that Donnie Corley was gone, Demetric Vance was gone, Josh King was gone. I think that was a foregone conclusion. These guys were not going to return. I've had people ask me questions. How long is this going to last? I was told specifically that this was not going to carry over. It wasn't going to be something into where they entered camp and we're still talking about where this was going to be a done deal before. It happened quickly. I guess relatively speaking in terms of before the season, but 4 months into this, and the video it's a disgusting, disturbing situation. So anyway, with Donnie Corley, he was going to be a star wide receiver at Michigan State, no doubt about it in my mind. I remember talking with several people, even guys like Rico Beard who saw him play in high school. And Donnie Corley is a special player, no doubt about it. There were even a little bit of chat maybe he'd play both sides of the ball just because he was so athletic. Donnie was the number 15 ranked wide receiver of the 2016 class. He was the number 2 prospect in the state, number 108 nationally, a 4-star. He went to MLK in Detroit. Demetric Vance, he was the number 8 safety of his class, number 8 prospect in the state, and he was a top 250 player, 240th on the nose, 4-star. He went to Cass Tech in Detroit. Josh King, he was actually Michigan State's highest rated, and this is according to 24/7 Sports composite rankings. He was Michigan State's highest rated player of the 2016 class, 4-star, number 1 prospect in the state of Illinois, number 6 defensive end in the country, number 96 nationally, and this guy's 6'6" and a half, listed at 245 pounds. This girl was scared shitless. I guarantee it. And I'm sorry for if you watch it this long, then who cares, right? This girl was probably scared beyond belief. And Donnie Corley, 6'2", 185 pounds, almost 6'3". Demetric Vance, almost 6'2", 193 pounds. I would be scared if Demetric Vance cornered me in a bathroom, or in a room. He's a big guy, right? Throw in all these other elements. You're a girl at a party. And again, before you start questioning, well, what was she doing? Why did she go back with Josh King? I don't think any of that matters. What was Josh King doing? Forcing himself on her and in her against her will. What was he doing inviting Donnie Corley and Demetric Vance to do the same? Was it fun? It was a game. Right? Oh, they're at a party. Let's get this girl to do this. It's horrifying to think about. It's not a Michigan State problem. It's not a football player problem. I do believe a little bit of sense of entitlement exists in athletics as a whole. I do believe that it is a generational thing. I've coached a little bit. I know people who have, and I mean it's times to you start. I'm 35, and it's like, okay, now I could see the generational gaps, and it's all. To me, it's an image that is perpetrated through young people culture. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It is young people culture. And women are increasingly devalued. They're pieces, right? They're props. They're party favors. And that's the viewpoint of a lot of these young men. So before we say it's a Michigan State problem, before we say it's Mark Dantonio's problem because he can't judge character, which is not true. Before we say it's a black thing or a white thing or an athlete thing, I do believe it is prevalent in athletics a little bit. But at the end of the day, I do think it's a generational thing. I think it is it's a youth thing, and I think people my age, your parents grew up in the '60s. You probably grew up in the '80s, and the respect for women, that kind of stuff, it's just embedded in your brain. Rape is wrong. You don't rape a woman. If she says no, you do not proceed. And that's just the problem that I have here. So, again, this is a little bit long. This is going on 30 minutes. I want to thank everybody for watching. Sorry for rambling on a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that I thoroughly explained the differences and the layers between first and third degree criminal sexual conduct. I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on Mark Dantonio's statement. I wanted to read some reports out there, and again, credit the Michigan State media for being all over this. Guys like Solari, Austin Charbonneau, Graham Couch, all those guys, Ryan Schuling, everybody out there asking a lot of questions and doing their part to uncover this story. I'm sure there's going to be more to come. I'm positive. I don't think this is over by any means, but it is disappointing nonetheless, especially if you look at the progress, the message, everything that Michigan State football, Mark Dantonio has stood for during the past decade, and then this happens, and then the allegations about Keith Mumphrey, and I know that it doesn't have anything to do with Michigan State football. He wasn't a part of the team, but all this stuff you start hearing about all this stuff, and then last year there was a racial divide, there was a class divide in the locker room. I have confirmed this with several former Spartans that were on last year's team. There were problems, and I think it was Graham Couch. He wrote a column. He said, "Winning, if they're winning, we don't talk about this," and I believe that's true. But at the same time, if this kind of stuff is happening, and you're winning, then they're not winning. But I think you know where I'm going with this. Regardless of the circumstances, that when this type of activity occurs, you expect, I guess, more swift action. I mean, and I'm not going to directly compare here or there, but I mean, Logan Tillman at Michigan did far less and was kicked off far quicker. And that's all I'll say about that. I'm Adam Biggers of FanRag Sports, Michigan and Michigan State beat writer. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Follow the podcast on Twitter at MI Sports, or I don't even know what it is. We changed it. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me go. Mitten Sports MI. I don't know why I thought MI. So Mitten Sports MI used to be SITM Big and Kid. So again, Sports in the Men at Mitten Sports MI. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. I just wrote a column about position swaps at Michigan. Brad Hawkins going from receiver to safety, and Ben Mason going from linebacker to fullback. So check that out on FanRagSports.com. Follow them on Twitter at FanRagSports, at FanRag_U. As always, I would like to thank Tim and Keith at Mr. Spots in Ann Arbor for keeping me fed every time I'm down there. I'll be at, there's some camps and some things going on this summer. Still a lot to keep up on with Michigan football. I'll have more Michigan football on the way, and a career feature on Derek Walton as well coming up this week. Hopefully, if not this week, certainly early next week, but I'm aiming to have it done this week. Again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free. Use that section below. Keep them clean. Thanks again for watching. I'm Adam Biggers. I'll talk to you next time.